During the haying season, we have to have extra help, so here's the pickup coming from town bringing in a few extra hay hands.
Looks like he flung open the gate by the car. He did.
This is one of our hay fields. We raise this hay to winter our cattle through the winter. Temperature gets down to 10, 15, sometimes even 20 below zero, and most of the forage is covered by snow, so we have to harvest hay and stack it and save it from the winter. Generally, we try to start the 4th of July and finish up Labor Day. And one of the reasons for that was if you hired a crew before the 4th, you lost them all the 4th anyhow. They all went to town, got drunk, and most of them wouldn't come back. If you didn't get done by Labor Day, you lost your crew there, so you had to find a new one. This is gassing up the mowing machines before they start out in the morning. The fellow there is changing the sickle. He's gassing up. We had the gas in a barrel in a pickup. Park them all in a line, drive down. Now he's starting out to mow hay. This fellow's the lead mower. One man is designated the lead mower, and he's more or less the foreman in the field, the foreman of the mowing crew. This shows cutting down the hay. This particular hay is alfalfa and oats. This is a little different type of hay. This is a native wild hay that grows in the valley, that was here when the first people came to the valley. And a lot of the meadows are still natural, native as they were in the beginning. They haven't been plowed or reseeded. A good cow ranch, you don't want to get too far away from nature and start doing too much farming and too much improving. You can over-improve your thing. You better stay kind of the way God made the country, because cows are a natural thing, and you get pampering them, getting too sophisticated, you're apt to get in trouble. There's a special way to make that corner so you don't leave any hay. The drivers always watch the other guy, and anytime he leaves any hay, they holler and criticize him. They all made a pretty good turn. After the hay is mowed, we leave it cure about a day or so, and then rake it up with this rake. It's a 24-foot rake, dump rake. It's a bloom rake is the proper name for it. It's pulled behind a Jeep. You can pull them behind Jeeps or tractors, but a Jeep is a little faster. It's put into what we call windrows. It's rowed clear across the field in straight lines, and then the buckman or the buncher comes along and pushes it into bigger bunches. This is the buck rake man. He goes down the windrow and pushes the hay into piles. These buck rakes are made out of old cars. Just take all the body off of them and then take the gears out and turn the gears over so they run backwards all the time. Put a sweep on the end of them to pick up the hay.
It's going backwards?
The car runs backwards.
And the steering wheel's in back? Neat.
This is the crew going in. This is the mowing crew going in to eat lunch. Here they're washing up for dinner at the hay camp. The hay camps are generally little cabins out in the field, quite a distance from the main ranch houses where the haymen stay in the summer. They're closer to their work. In the wintertime, they're feeding cabins. Here's the crew, the cook at the end of the table there.
Hardly see the cook's face.
Now it's time to stack the hay. This is the fellow on the tractor bringing the stacking derrick across. These derricks are about 50 to 60 feet high. They're on running gear, and they're anchored with that boom and two big chains on the side to keep the derrick from tipping over. When they get to the place where they do the stacking, guy wires, 3 guy wires are put out, and there's quite a knack to setting a derrick. You have to have the right tension on the different guy wires. The one guy wire has to have the most tension, so the boom will swing around, and then they have what they call the back haul. That guy wire has to have just exactly the right tension so the net can be pulled back again after it's dropped the hay. They drive stakes in the ground that are made out of railroad irons, and there's 3 of those drove in a triangular shape. Then there's a block and tackle fastened to that. The block and tackle is the way they get the tension on the guy wires right. As the stack gets higher, sometimes the tension has to be changed to fit the height of the stack. Here it shows the boom going up. There's a cable runs over the top of the boom and down to the net. He just pushed a load of hay onto the net, and the net tender throwed the cable over and hooked the net, and there it goes up. You can see how the guy wire is flopping there. That shows there's tension going on to that guy wire. Here the net comes down. The net tenders catch those 2 chains underneath and hook them, come on down and unhook the cable. The man back there on the tractor, he's the one that controls that cable, and the good tenders ought to be able to pull those cables out and hook those things while the man's still moving, so there's never any lost motion. The tractor driver don't have to stop. Now the stack is pretty well up, and the net load of hay goes up. These loads of hay will probably weigh 1,000, 1,200 pounds, and they're dropped at the direction of the men on the stack. There's one man up there known as the stack boss, and he hollers where the stack is to be, the hay is to be dropped. Then the men with the pitchforks, they scatter it around evenly, and just before the job is done, they are really careful in putting in a curved top on the stack to shed the water, and a good well-made stack won't have any depressions or holes in it to trap water or snow. Here the men throw their pitchforks off and are coming down on the net. After the stack is built and up high, that's the only way they can get down.
Must hang on for their life.
They hang on for their life. One fella forgot one time, turned loose. Got quite a jolt. That big cotton rope you see there is what trips the net. There's a locking mechanism under there, and when the stack boss hollers, the foreman jerks that. This is the crew here.
Now what are they doing?
Now the boom's coming down. That stack is finished. They'll bring the boom down and fasten it on the front of the running gear of the derrick, and then the 2 big chains on the side will be fastened, and then the foreman will holler all secure or some such word like that, and the people out on the guy wires will take their sledgehammers and start knocking the stakes out and turn the guy wires loose. And the tractor driver, he comes in and hooks onto the derrick, and they head out for another stack. The 2 fellas on the buck rakes, they go ahead of the crew, so they'll have a stack bottom in when the crew gets there. And the stack bottoms are very precise. They're so many steps each way, and that's determined by the size of your derrick. There's different sized derricks on different ranches, so the size of the stack is determined by how far the boom will reach over. The derrick swings on a swivel, so they can make a stack a lot longer than you can wide. There's a completed stack. They're setting up the derrick to build another stack. That's an old stack from the year before. Properly built stacks will preserve the hay for a number of years.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.